We got a fantastic panel. Well, half of it's fantastic on a Monday. Caroline Di Russo, host of the Royal Report, joins us from Perth. But on the desk here with me, we've got Gemma Tonyini, who's a Collingwood supporter and mentioned the bloody footy.
So that's because you ain't us, Chris. There's two kinds of people.
We'll see you in
Collingwood supporters and those who secretly wish they were.
We'll see you in September.
Oh, please,
now, let's stick to politics here, Caroline. Tell me, everyone's got a view on this. What do you think the Libs should do on nuclear and net zero? As the WA president of the Liberal Party, I should point out.
Throw me straight in it. Look, ultimately, it's a matter for the party room, but I'm not really sure that whatever the position that we had going into the election is the reason that we weren't successful. So, you know, I really think we go back to a bread and butter conversation about energy policy and what we actually think is the best energy policy going forward. I'm not necessarily sure whether relitigating net zero is going to solve all of our problems. I mean, ultimately, Chris, if you look at the last election, it was cost of living that was the main issue for people. Maybe we need to go back and actually have a look at what the offering was there and you know, the messaging around that as to, you know, I'm not necessarily, I don't think this is a central issue is the point that I'm making. I think we just get onto the policy of it rather than the ideology of it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely, it's a point well made, Caroline. The idea that this somehow was the policy that swung the election one way or another is nonsense, Gemma, but it's one that they're focusing on now, and energy is crucial. Do you think that they can abandon nuclear or net zero?
You cannot have a conversation about either reducing emissions or reducing the cost of energy in this country without including nuclear. So is it a nuclear first policy? No, of course it's not. It's an energy mix. It's always been an energy mix. And in terms of net zero targets, I firmly believe that the Liberal Party has an opportunity to reshape the conversation, lead the conversation. Every time someone says net zero, we're not talking about that. We're talking about cost of living and best practice policy that the rest of the world is embracing. The rest of the world is... Exactly. I don't know if people know, but a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, the Chinese, using American technology that was developed under Obama, finalised a functioning small nuclear reactor that does not explode. It fails at closure. I mean, this is the mining.com called it a Sputnik moment. And here we're still wetting our pants over the conversation. So there's an opportunity to lead here. And as for net zero targets, this government has missed every target that it has set for itself. So let's not pretend it's actually on a trajectory that's sustainable.
It is laughable, really. We're talking about 2050. We can't even get next year right. But we'll keep on that one. I want to get back to US politics, though, because I think this is crucial. It gets to so many issues about our public debate in this country, and that is the way we all know. We've talked about it on this program for years and other programs, you know, how we were lied to about Biden. We could see he was not competent as president, and yet they were telling us he was going to go on and serve another term. And this new book out, it's called Original Sin, in which Jake Tapper and others exposed the fact that Joe Biden wasn't up to the job and that he couldn't really run for another term. And as I showed you earlier, here is Jake Tapper explaining that, well, he admits, he was partly to blame for this.
I think some of the criticism is fair, to be honest, of me. Certainly I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but knowing then what I know now, I look back at my coverage during the Biden years, and I did cover some of these issues, but not enough. I look back on it with humility.
Oh,
that's
humility.
Convenient.
Come on, Caroline. The point is that the whole time it was obvious from day one he wasn't up to the job, and they all went along for the ride. They ran defence for Joe Biden. They didn't scrutinise him.
No, totally. And in one particular interview, he actually went really hard at Lara Trump for raising the issue of cognitive decline. So I think there needs to be a little bit more than humility. I would have used accountability, responsibility, and maybe a bit of eating of humble pie. I mean, ultimately, this book is a total ass-covering exercise. I mean, these people obviously want to stay in the political commentary arena. They still want to be relevant, whatever exactly that looks like. And so there has to be a little bit of a mea culpa without too much of a mea culpa so that they can try and stay relevant going forward. But the simple fact of the matter is, it was so obvious with anyone with two functioning eyes that there was something terribly wrong with the president. And then he'd lose his midway through a sentence and there'd be this whole, oh, he just hasn't had his warm cup of milk in the afternoon sun and he's a bit crotchety. Well, maybe that's actually the problem.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jake Tapper and these people are going to argue that they were conned, they were misled by the president and the White House. It is laughable.
Well, what they actually did was commit a terrible offence to the American voter, because their job as journalists, I mean, it's an uncomfortable, probably an unpopular thing to remind people, is it's to report the truth without fear of favour.
Yep.
It doesn't happen at the ABC anymore, and that's not a dig, that's a fact. To report the truth without fear or favour, and particularly leading up to an election, and particularly when you're talking about the capacity of him to lead, the capacity of him to do his job, drive a car, for example, and particularly also in the context of the lies that were told about Trump's cognitive decline in his first term, which was an absolute lie manufactured by the political left. So I don't think any of these people should be working in their roles anymore. They have broken trust with the American public, and that is their only job. That is their only job, is to have trust with their audience, and their audience can watch them and trust that what they're saying is true. He's saying, oh, I knew, but I kind of just did a little bit of a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. That's an absolute disgrace. Shame on every one of them.
It is. Just have a look again at how some of the media were defending Biden.
This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
This guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
I mean, they're just liars. Chris.
Yeah, of course, they're just liars, as Gemma says. Let's have a look at the man they were talking about.
Initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Yeah, look, Caroline, this is the point. They're just telling these lies. They must have known it was wrong at the time. It shows absolute disdain for the public they're supposed to serve.
Oh, absolutely. And look, there's a very good reason why the media, and particularly reporting media, there's meant to be that independence and that impartiality, and it's exactly that. And it's funny, you go through those snippets, and those talking points are just rolling off the tongue, aren't they? It's really it was very smooth, but it was just so obvious to anyone who was watching. And I'm not sure, we talk about declining, respect for the media and believing what people see on television, and they're actually making their own beds as far as that is concerned. You can't then go on to say, oh well, there's no public trust in the media after something like that. It's totally understandable.
Super quickly. Will anything change?
I don't know. I think with the encroachment of some non-traditional media outlets that are consistently breaking news and consistently demonstrating that they are trustworthy and filling that gap possibly.
You never know. Thanks for joining us.